What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Bar Understood. As always, I want to thank everybody for the support. I appreciate every single one of you all. If you appreciate the content and you find it informative, please feel free to share, subscribe, comment, and click the bell so you'll get noticed whenever our new quick takes and our videos are uploaded. And whenever you comment, especially if you comment, with a question or you comment with some critique, I'll always take the time to respond. So thank you. In this quick take episode, I want to start out by congratulating Beyoncé for her recent success with reaching or being the first Black woman to top Billboard's country chart with her single Texas Hold'em. Now, of course, there are those in this country music genre who are not happy about this. It's another recurring theme. I wonder, I know some of you all will remember the show, The Dukes of Hazzard. I used to be a fan of the show when I was a kid and didn't know no better. I hate the show now, but of course that show dealt with the Confederacy. The car was named the damn General Lee, who was a Confederate soldier. One of the people who fought to keep us enslaved. Yeah, that Dukes of Hazzard and that General Lee. But one of the guys who played in the Dukes of Hazzard, he recently offered some critique of Beyonce's the record and the fact that it was debuted as a country song. And I want you to take a listen to what he said.
The lefties in the entertainment industry just won't leave any area alone, right? They just have to seize control over every aspect, don't they?
They've got to make their mark, just like a dog in a dog walk park. Every dog has to mark every tree, right? So that's what's going on here.
Now, first of all, the dude is a coward for addressing a sister like that. That's first and foremost. But on another level, his comments reflect this dangerous arrogance and ignorance of those who practice whiteness. I keep telling y'all, keep your eyes open for people who practice whiteness. That shit is dangerous and that shit is fucked up. So keep your eyes open. But I'll take these next few minutes to take this punk to school about exactly where country music originated, because country music, like so much in American culture, is something that's been appropriated from us. And history has effectively been rewritten in real time to exclude us or to make it seem as if this is something that whiteness invented when history tells you otherwise. Now, the roots in country music, they start with this West African instrument known as the acontine. The acontine is the modern day banjo. And that instrument, it pretty much tells the story of country music. As early as the 1840s, the banjo, it was exclusively a Black instrument. Exclusively. Now, by the 1850s, I don't know if everyone is familiar with these minstrel shows, which were shows that you had people, white folks who painted themselves Black, and they would make mockery of Black culture, and it was real profitable back then. It was, it was something that people enjoyed seeing. Of course, not our people, but that's something, these minstrel shows, they became popular. And as part of these racist trope routines, the white audiences, they were inadvertently introduced to the banjo because the minstrel players, they would play the instrument. So this is how they originally became aware of the banjo. Now, from the banjo and these minstrel shows, they all evolved into what was known as hillbilly music. Now, even though hillbilly music, it wasn't specifically centered around the banjo, it was popular during this time as both black and white artists, they drew from slave spirituals and field songs and hymns and the blues, which also has black origins. In his film called Country Music, the director, Kim Burns, he did a good job of tracing how one of these early songs called When the World is on Fire, which was the hymn, it was arranged by a black minister. It was turned into one of the Carter families, which they belonged to, or they were part of the country music genre. The Carter family's 1928 hit called Little Darling Pal of Mine, which was later turned into Woody Guthrie's quintessential song, This Land Is Your Land. Now, there was another song that was written, that has country origins, and it was written by a New Yorker. And the song is called Carry Me Back to Old Virginia. And it was written by this brother, James Bland. Now, then there was a little known influence of another brother, Frank Johnson. Johnson, who was enslaved, he's responsible for what we all know today as square dancing, the string band, and of course, the hoedown. Okay, so all of that's directly attributable to Mr. Johnson. Now, as we move forward, in the 1920s and 30s, notwithstanding segregation, you had black and white hillbilly artists who collaborated on numerous hillbilly tunes. Again, Kim Burns, he did a good job in country music detailing how the collaboration between Jimmy Rogers and Louis Armstrong in a track called Blue Yodel Number 29. And in that song, this guy, Jimmy Rogers, who's known as the father of country music, even though I would definitely object to that. But anyway, he yodels and sings the tale of a Tennessee hustler, while Armstrong, who was known then as Satchmo, seemingly fills the space with Johnny Blues licks. Now, despite the diametrically opposed genre labels that they carried, it's clear that they were pulling from a shared musical tradition. In this 2013 essay called Black Hillbillies, the writer Patrick Huber, he details the styling diversity of hillbilly music from back then, and noted that it featured a high frequency of integrated sessions more than any other genre except vaudeville blues. There were nearly 50 African American musicians that appeared on commercial hillbilly records between the years of 1920 and 1930, because the music, it wasn't basically just a white tradition. It was back then the black groups were more clearly identified. But as time would have, that slowly began to change. Now, after World War I, the hillbilly music, it was officially rebranded as country music, and it was commercialized. The big record labels, they wanted to sell country music, but they could not do so during that time because the country was so polarized, so they couldn't market it as being integrated. So the black artists, they received no recognition, and these album covers were sold with white stand-ins. And therein, country music began to be marketed as white music. The music was taken by white folks as their own, and the contributions of black artists, they were basically erased. Okay? Again, this marketing ploy was meant so that many black artists, they were pushed to the margins of country music, even if they remain influential behind the scenes. Now, I'll give you a few examples of that. You had Leslie Riddle, who's a black guitar player, He helped A.P. Carter of the Carter family, another renowned family in country music, hone his repertoire of mountain songs, and he greatly influenced the finger-picking guitar style of Mabel Carter, who was considered one of the most influential guitarists of all time. Then you had Rufus T. Top Payne, who mentored a young Hank Williams, who's another titan in country music. Then there was Gus Cannon, and he taught Johnny Cash, who is, again, widely renowned as a country music titan. Then you had Bill Monroe. He was called the father of bluegrass, and he talked of being indebted to the guitarist Arnold Schwartz, a black man. But of all of these black artists, none of them ever received recognition, and they were all eclipsed by the people, the very people that they taught. So this is how country music basically began to systematically wipe us out from any roots in country music. Okay? Now, there was another guy that came along during this time, and this is the brother, DeFord Bailey. Now, with this brother, of course, he was likewise treated with ambivalence, but what was significant about him, because he was a harmonica player, was he was the grandson of a slave, and he became the most frequent performer on the Nashville radio station WSM's Bond Dance with his virtuistic renditions of Pan American Blues and the Fox Chase. And in one of his 1927 performances, he even provided the backdrop for the genesis of the Grand Ole Opry, which I'm sure that we all heard of. And that's the radio program that became country music's central institution. And Bailey was one of his pioneer members. But again, he was pretty much pushed to the outskirts of country music, so a lot of us had never even heard of him. Then there was the individual who a lot of black folks that I came up around would know when I was a child, who they regarded as the greatest country singer of all time, and that's the brother Charlie Pride. Charlie Pride, he was a titan. That's basically what he was. He was a real titan. He never wanted to be referred to as just, a black country artist so much as he just wanted to be referred to as a country artist. But he was a titan. When I was younger, I can remember hearing some of his songs when I would visit Danville, Virginia to see my family. But yes, he definitely was a titan. And a lot of people, they didn't know that he was RCA Records' second highest selling artist of all time, second only to Elvis Presley. So, of course, this brother deserves his props. And he also was the first black member of, well, I should say the second black member of the Grand Ole Opry since the brother that I previously mentioned, DeFord Bailey. And, importantly, he was the first black artist to win a Grammy in a country category. So all of these things are significant, and some of them I do recall. Now, he talked about in his autobiography about how he was never fully embraced by country music, and he liked to steer clear of race because he basically depended on this genre, which was predominantly white and conservative during this era, for his support. So he kind of, spent most of his life deflecting race. But nevertheless, he opened the door for, more contemporary artists that we know of now, like Mickey Guyton, Jimmy Allen, and Darius Rucker. And something that some of you all might know, well, I know you know the song Lady by Kenny Rogers, which came out in 1980. That's one of the highest selling country singles of all time. And that was written by the one and only Lionel Richie. So there you have it. So I would just say that this guy, Snyder, his comments represent something, that's dangerous, but it also represents something in history about how things that were originating in our culture were taken away, and they were basically appropriated by the larger white culture, whether it was rock and roll, which found its origins, of course, with Chuck Berry. Then you have something that a lot of us were, what were called the infatuation with the full lips, which, these things used to be derided in white culture. You had the full lips, the big behinds. These are things now that everyone seemingly wants. Then you have cornrows, which was made famous by the girl Bo Derek in the movie 10. So all of these things just represent, a history of things originating in our culture and then being appropriated, and then us being made to feel as if we had no contribution to whatever this latest phenomenon is. So we have to begin to correct these things when we hear them. So I'm going to close out by saying to Bo Snyder and everyone else who feels the way that he feels about Beyonce's interest in the country music, and there's people, who feel the right to own things that were created by other people. I think that this system said it better than I ever could. So on that note, I'm going to leave you with this system. This is how I feel about you.
I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Fuck you, fuck your mama, fuck your daddy, fuck the horse you rode in on, fuck everybody who loves you, who cares about you, who has ever supported you in your life, who has become a part of making you the person that you are today. Fuck you, fuck them, fuck all of y'all.
Okay, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Until then, stay up, and I know people will hate it, but I'm going to tell you all once again, stay woke, and just remember, to keep your head high at all times and understand that America, it wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for our contributions. And we're going to make sure that every time we tune in to Bar Understood, that people will understand that. It's not about hate, it's about respect. It's about us giving the respect that we are due. Okay? So you all take care. And again, thanks again for tuning in.